So it turns out in order to defeat a number 1 awakened yoma, you don't need a more powerful yoma. What you need are dozens upon dozens of half-naked, scantily clad zombie women. I can't say that probably wouldn't defeat me as well, and I can't really say that my thoughts were all in friendly places while reading this, but I did draw a great image for you guys of these feeders right here. Look at these abyssal feeders right there. And in this drawing, they are enjoying a piece of Isley's head and arm. And Isley, he's not having a good time. He's really not. Okay, so first of all, before I get into this, I just want to say, my fellow Claymore readers, thank you for being patient with me as it's taken me a while to get back into this manga, making videos for you guys. It's been a crazy month. I've had a lot of other videos to make. I've been working crazy hours. I got sick for a while. Like, it's been a rough time, man. But I'm here. I'm back in the Claymore, so I appreciate you guys being patient with me and waiting for the new videos, those of you that are following along with me. So really sorry about that, and I hope to have no more delays and at least get these videos out to you weekly until I finish the series, or pretty close to. So again, just thank you for the support, and without further ado, let's get right into it. So the first thing that I want to talk about in these two volumes in particular, this is a review for volumes 16 and 17, is that I was not expecting, spoiler alert, I was not expecting Isley to die. And I really wasn't expecting him to die the way that he did. He has been built up as one of the prime antagonistic forces throughout this entire manga. And what I've noticed in these volumes in particular is that the way that things are building and the way that storylines are starting to converge and characters are starting to come together, this feels very much like it's leading us in towards an endgame type event in the series, you know what I'm saying? And I know that we still have a few volumes left to go. I think there's 24 in total, but just the fact of everything that's happening here, and once the merger between Riful and Lucilia, we'll get into that in a moment, but that in itself, the supposed power up for Claire, the Riful character, all of these things are sort of like coming together in a way. Alicia and Beth show up. Like, this is like some crazy shit that they're doing, because they had so many different kind of plot lines happening simultaneously, and now they're all starting to converge in a very kind of epic conclusion sort of way. But one of the things that this volume introduces almost right away are these abyssal feeders, which is one of the organization's ways of being able to defeat the abyssal ones, or the awakened yomas, the experiments that they failed at. Because we learned in the last volume, or I learned in the last volume, that this entire world that we're in Claymore, this island that we're on, or whatever it is all basically like an experimental testing ground of how to control this yoma ability to help this particular side of humanity win wars in the real world by utilizing basically like biological warfare in controlling this yoma ability or whatever it is. So everything that we've known has been sort of just a bunch of characters trying to live within an island that's an experiment, and they continue to experiment, and they continue to learn how to try to control this thing, and they found a way to create basically these zombie-like creatures that don't have the ability to awaken, but they also don't think for themselves, and they're also completely obsessed with wanting to devour abyssal runs. They've been sort of bred specifically just to be monsters that are able to go out and not feel pain. They're able to regenerate constantly, and they're able to work in a pack, work in a team, like a horde of zombies, basically, to be able to take down these number 1 awakened yomas that were always kind of the biggest threat. One of them being, of course, Isley. Now, when this battle went down, first of all, first we have Helen and Deneve, and they sort of find their way within this town where Isley is. Isley starts attacking them, obviously able to sense them right away. But then during the midst of that battle, these creatures start to appear, and they start to appear more and more, and there's more frequent amounts of them, and then all of a sudden he's in the middle of a horde. And at first, it was kind of like one of those things where I thought Isley was just going to be able to kind of wipe through them pretty easily. In his transformed state, he's pretty gigantic, especially compared to all of these like little abyssal feeder creatures and whatnot. So he's kind of like wiping them away. But the problem isn't their individual strength. It's just the power of the horde, right? So definitely zombie film influence kind of like going on here within Claymore. And so they're able just to sort of overwhelm him to the point where he isn't able to regenerate fast enough. And I pretty much wasn't taking these characters as a serious threat at all, especially the fact that they're very zombie-like. I was expecting them to be the type of enemy that our main characters would basically eviscerate through easily and sort of like use as like pawns, you know, so that you can constantly have battles or constantly have characters for them to fight and then to wipe through, and it wouldn't matter, you know, if they killed them or whatnot, because, you know, they're just basically monstrous, mindless creatures anyways. But no, apparently these things are way more serious than I thought, because they actually brought Isley to his knees to the point where he's unable to completely heal himself whatsoever, and he's slowly witnessing himself being eaten alive. And as he does so, he runs out of defense. He runs out of a way to defeat them. Like, Priscilla isn't there to get his back or anything. Racky's nowhere to be found. And as he's going out, and as he's basically like sort of like losing consciousness and thinking about his life and everything, one of the things that he looks back on fondly was this sort of weird family dynamic that he had with Priscilla and Racky. And it's like, I feel for this dude, and I always liked Isley, and he was probably my favorite antagonist of this entire series, you know, not really counting the organization as an antagonist, as a character. I mean, they are the ultimate antagonist, but they're individual people, they're not a character, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. And I kept thinking it was a misdirect, and I kept thinking it was a red herring, but the more that I read, the more it seemed as though, no, Isley, like, seems to be actually killed here, and the fact that other characters are picking up on it, and the fact that, you know, other characters are able to sense it, and just the fact that these creatures just don't stop. They just devour and devour. And like I said, I really don't know how I feel about it right now, because I really liked Isley as a character and a villain, and he made such a good impression so far. So to see him get taken out by basically nameless, faceless characters, I don't know if I want to call it like anticlimactic, because I don't know where the story's going. So, I mean, there could be much more up ahead that like I'm unaware of. But as of right now, I feel a little cheated by it. I'm not gonna lie. I feel a little cheated about Isley going out the way that he did. And it's not that, like, I don't think that these feeders are a good antagonistic force, but I just really wasn't expecting somebody like Isley, or a character that's been built up like Isley, to be taken out by someone like them. I was expecting him to be taken out by either, you know, Alicia and Beth, or you know, if something happened between him and Priscilla, or just Claire herself, you know, our main character. But to be taken out by these things, I don't know, man. I'm a little taken aback by it. You know what I mean? I'm not upset to the point where it's like ruining the series or anything, but it definitely threw me off. It definitely threw me off, is what I'm saying. So then, like I said, everything starts to culminate together, because Volume 17 pretty much mostly takes place with the character of Riful, and she still has the Lucilia, Raphelia sort of weird amalgamation, conjoined twin thing sort of going on there. Claire and her teams winds up there, and then Claire sort of has this weird, like, sense or vision, or this sort of like link of consciousness that she has with Raphelia, because they have a moment where they're basically talking to each other and fighting each other within what's left of Raphelia's consciousness. And I'm not really sure exactly what was happening here, so anybody that is well-versed in Claymore lore, please explain it down in the comments below for me, because my itty-bitty human intelligence could not quite pick it up. But what I think was sort of happening was, because of this merger, some sort of new entity is being created between Lucilia and Raphelia. So neither one of them is going to have a dominant personality when this creature arises. So it's going to be a brand new thing. So what I think was happening was Claire was speaking to whatever the last remnants was of Raphelia's consciousness, and whether Raphelia was sort of like giving something to Claire. Like, I'm not sure if it was particularly supposed to be a power-up of some way, or if she was like giving what was left of her consciousness to Claire. Like, I'm not really sure. I don't even know how Claire entered their consciousness to begin with, other than the fact that Claire sort of is like, she does have sort of pieces of other Claymore with her. Like, her arm belonged to a different character, and then, you know, her blood was originally infused because of Teresia. So maybe she just sort of has this ability to sort of draw others towards her, you know, sort of kind of becoming one, sort of like this fusion in itself, but in a different way. So I don't really know how that works, but something along those lines was happening. And immediately after, and it must have, because immediately after this new creature was born, which I don't believe has been name dropped yet. I don't believe it has a name, but if we're talking like it's a number 1 awakened Yoma with Lucilia originally, and then just adding another powerful Claymore on top of that, creating some sort of new creature that very much reminds me of like the Ganishka tree from Berserk. Like, this thing is just ridiculous, and it's shooting off spikes that are going everywhere, and these spikes are evolving into creatures as well. And so, like, I don't know what's happening here. This is some sort of apocalyptic biblical destroyer unleashed upon the earth from the most of what I can see. I'm not really sure what to make of it. I'm not really sure why it's happening. I don't really understand the physics behind it, but none of that really matters because it's here, and it's here to stay, and it's definitely showcasing its dominance upon the land. So as this thing rises up, we also have Alicia and Beth, which are the top Claymores at the moment, the ones that one can fully awaken while the other sort of helps them ground them and maintain control. So they show up and they start taking on Riful, and immediately I'm just thinking, okay, so this is pretty much going to be it. So we're taking out our top awakened Claymore. We already took out Isley. Now Rifle's getting to the point where she's going to be taken out. I forget, what is the name of her her little boy toy? Doph? I think Doph is his name? That guy. Yeah, he's great, man. He's just trying to help protect his woman and whatnot. He's just doing his best. Then all of a sudden, all these freaking feeders come out, and then so they're dealing with that. And so you have all of these things sort of happening at the same time. And at this point, you know, it leads us to the question of how Claire is going to help combat any of this, given the fact that whatever this new awakened creature is now like probably way more powerful than both Rifle and Isley ever were. In fact, there's the moment where Rifle's looking sort of like on the hilltop, and she's like, well, right now I feel like we're about 50-50, but this thing keeps increasing in power. And so what does that mean? What is Priscilla's power level when kind of like put up against all of this stuff as well? But then also you have Alicia and Beth, and then you have this one weird moment at the very end of the volume, and I didn't read any further because I didn't have time to read more than 2 volumes. And so there's this moment where one of them is awakened, and she starts to attack the feeders, and Rifle's like wondering if she's doing that for a reason or if she's helping her or something like that, if she decided to switch sides. But then it cuts to the other one, Beth, kind of like stabbed by one of these pillar things that are being sent out by the new awakened creature. And so basically that leads me to believe, or at least leads me to think, that the only way for them to awaken is that one is awakened and the other is not. That way, they're sort of like maintaining their consciousness. They're able to stay in control, and they're not allowing the Yoma to completely take over. But if one of them is awakened and then the human version is knocked unconscious, or, you know, is on the verge of death, what does that do? Like, does that take away the ability to help ground them and maintain their sort of like focus of what their Claymore duties are? So what I believe is happening is that this creature is deliberately targeting this in order to weaken Alicia and Beth and take them both out, because it'd be kind of hard to take them out while one's in the awakened form, so you take out the one that's in the human form. But what I do know is that this is in a chaotic mess right now, and the organization obviously did not want this new creature to emerge, so this is probably going to be the prime number 1 threat, which is really interesting because now we're sort of shifting in this direction where that's the number 1 threat that I could see happening in the world of Claymore right now, or at least on this island that's within the world of Claymore. But then you also have Priscilla, who is, sort of our main antagonist as far as being attached to Claire and whatnot. But I don't know how Priscilla is going to fit into all of this, so I'm excited to see her come back around. And then we have, did I miss them in these volumes? The Miata and Clarice, are they still around? I forget where they are right now. I don't know if they're with the organization or not. I forget where. I thought they were coming along with Claire and her group, but I kind of forgot where she was. I guess that's what happens when I go a month without reading Claymore. I kind of forget some details, but I'm curious as to where they are. And to see what's going to become of this. Yeah, so this new entity, this new creature, I don't know if it's going to even have like a persona or a consciousness that's even able to communicate, or if it's just going to be this sort of like giant destroying thing, sort of like lost its mind, sort of again, sort of like maybe Ganishka from Berserk, where he just sort of like went through this reincarnation process and to the point where his mind broke, and so he's like this giant chaotic destroying thing, doesn't even know what he is or where he is or anything like that. So I don't know, but anyways, Claymore fans, please clear up the lore down below for me, because I'm sure I got some things wrong. Again, like I said, thank you guys for being patient. I really do appreciate it. It's been a while since I've done the Claymore review, so I'm back for right now. I'm going to finish it, get these final volumes kind of finished for you guys. But anyways, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate the support, you guys, and leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, because all interaction with the video helps it be seen better in the algorithm. Tell me what you think about the Abyssal feeders, and yeah, we'll just continue this moving forward to the next volume. So I'll talk to you guys then. I appreciate it. Take care, guys. I'll talk to you later.